we're live, Katie. I just was going to go and then have you jump in, but we're already live.
Hey!
Look at you.
I set up my camera earlier. I'll show you in a minute. I'm like, oh, I look real tired. So I decided to get a cup of coffee. Can you hear me? I don't know if I can hear you. Okay. Nothing. Hold on. I'll re-enter. Hold on.
Hello, everyone. I accidentally had my Bluetooth speaker going and I could hear myself like a minute later. So that's what happened. Katie just went off and on, but she didn't need to. It was on my end, but she couldn't hear me. So here we go again. Okay, Katie, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I got you too.
Yeah, it was my end. I was trying to explain, but
oh.
We're just so professional today. Hi, Lady Cymbeline.
Hi. Hello.
Okay, so we're going to talk and maybe get to some video. But Lady, have you been following the Murdaugh trial at all? Because we're going to talk about that, particularly Alex testimony, which is totally relevant. It's on everyone's minds this weekend. And as well as Creighton's, the prosecutor, his cross, which was interesting to say the least. And then also some updates about Charlie Adelson.
Yeah.
So, Lady has listened. Okay, so you've listened to Buster and Alec. Okay, so you're with us then, because I've not been following it. I've been following this situation for over a year. So I'm pretty familiar with everything. But it's been going on and I don't have time to have it on all the time. So a lot of times I'm listening, but I'm not watching. And I do think watching is important. So I kind of want to go back. Honestly, I wouldn't mind going through the whole trial. I kind of wish I would have been going live like every night or every weekend. Okay, Angela. Hi, Angela. This is Katie, Angela. If you haven't met. So you've been watching. Okay, so let's start with the Murdaugh thing, okay? And then, or do you want to get your questions about Charlie Adelson out of? You got most answered yesterday with Judy, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Charlie went for requesting a.
So he has a hearing on Tuesday.
Right. He wanted a trial, and the trial date was set. Jury selection was supposed to start in about 2 months from today, April 24th, with the trial opening arguments starting on May 1st.
Okay.
From the report, from the documents that mentor lawyer has uncovered, they're asking for a continuance to, I think, August, possibly September. They're needing more time because of course, since the first trial date was set, Katie's 3 proffers are now going to be, they have to sift through all that and do their own investigation and whatnot that they have to do to corroborate whatever she said or didn't say and all that. So what's your questions? We're here to answer.
Well, with the 3 proffers, do you think like she just did like a basic one and then they wanted to dig into some details so they could confirm the details more? Like, why 3?
It's an interesting thing. I don't know the answer. And I don't think anyone's going to know until we either at the hearing or at the trial. I mean, I think a lot of people are thinking, okay, there's 3 trials and there's 3 people that are named conspirators. Only one of those 3 have been arrested. So is there a different proffer for each one of them? Or is it just that it took 3 times to get it all out and to corroborate everything? Yeah. So it could be a lot of different, things. Hi, Too Deep. Good to see you. And Angela, yeah, I know, Katie, we think a lot alike. Yes, you do. And hello, March. The Supreme Court is scared of the country club Crips. Who are they? Who's that? Tell us. Okay. I mean, I would be. Okay. So I don't know. And I don't think anyone really knows why.
And are they moving to seal the proffers?
Yes. So person turquoise waving hello, lady C M2 deep Angela.
I think it's supposed to be an emoji that's not working.
Gotcha. Thank you, March. Thank you. Okay. You're welcome to stay. But okay, so Lady Cymbeline says, good question. I wonder if Georgia and Sarah called her back multiple times after they checked her story. My biggest hope is Sigfredo is involved or lined up to cooperate. So Sigfredo is Magbanua's baby daddy. So they have 2 children together. Mm-hmm. And it would seem like he would want her home with her children at least at some point. They're both in for life. Hers is actually life plus 60. Yeah. She got more? Well, I think did he get life plus 30? I can't remember, but yeah, she got and she took a gamble because she first got the mistrial. She took a gamble and thought she's going to get another mistrial. They're going to give up or maybe even a not guilty. Yeah. But she didn't. Interesting. She didn't win on that. Who was the actual shooter? Do they know if it was Luis or Sigfredo? Well, according to Luis Rivera's proffer, he said Sigfredo did the actual shooting and he drove the car. He didn't want to shoot him. He didn't even want to be there. Like, he was like, why did I do this? Now, is Sigfredo going to turn around and say and discount what Luis said in his proffer? And if they have proof that Luis lied in his proffer or anyone, that whole deal goes away. They still have the information. Oh. So most people don't lie in their proffers because they're just making their situation worse at that point. If they're going to talk, they're really encouraged to be truthful. And you mentioned Katie's credibility, and that's a big issue. It's a big issue, but it's a big issue for anybody who comes, who goes that, the thing with her is Maggie's. I don't want to call her Maggie because now we got I was going to call her Meg, and then it's like, I can't call her Meg. Magbanua's credibility, especially because she actually testified at both of her trials. So that means her credibility, she obviously, most likely lied on the stand twice. So that really is questionable credibility, because a lot of people don't even get to that point in their credibility. Right. And then was found guilty. So, yep. And so Katie's sentence is consecutive, not concurrent. So she was never going to get out. Never, ever, ever going to get out. So there's a chance that, so, and Angela reminds us Katie got conspiracy that added 30 years, and then solicitation to commit murder basically is 30. So that's why, because Sigfredo didn't do that. He just shot him. he that's a horrible way to say. In terms of the sentencing, that's the difference. So, yeah. So because Katie got more charges, she got more time, even though she did less of the crime. Yeah. But the amount, right. But the amount of how that demonstrates someone's conscience to be able to help set up a murder of another human being is just probably worse than like some dude who's drunk and high all the time and trying to make his common law wife happy and just making some money. Like, the dude doesn't have he's not the brightest bulb. Let's just put it that way. I mean, he went out and bought all these junky cars and motorcycles. I mean, he's just like, didn't put money away, didn't give it to her. The whole thing is just really disgusting. I mean, really disgusting. So, and the other intrigue where I'm really interested in finding out is because Luis there was no love lost, let's just say, between Luis and magbanua by the time this thing was done. Okay. Luis was throwing some shade on her during his proffer. And I would be worried that Katie wants to get even and throw him under the bus or something like that.
Sure.
Sigfredo or herself. So
interesting.
I know, because and you might not have listened to all of Luis's proffer, but I have it in all kinds of mini videos in one section, so I can send that over to you. It's quite chilling. And it's not very long. It's not very long at all. And then he testified twice. He testified in the trial for Sigfredo and Katie, the one where he basically pled guilty and got his deal. And then he also testified in Katie's retrial. Yeah. And the state was pretty confident because they retried her right away. Like a lot of times when there's a hung jury, the prosecutors have to consider, do they want to go through that again? They just kept rolling with it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Did they happen to talk to the holdout juror?
They talked to some jurors.
They held out?
There were some jurors that spoke, but
but
a lot of that won't be public if they didn't want it to be. Sure. I would imagine if the juror wanted to talk, they would have tried to find out what it was. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Interesting.
Right. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But with Katie's proffer, she might not have to testify to the proffer, correct? Like she wouldn't have to get on the stand and say, they could just use her written testimony or her written proffer.
Or her video. Yeah. And that's the $1 million question. Is she going to testify or not? Or just let the proffer stand for itself? And my gut feeling on that, and I don't know anything, of course, but just my gut is that if she got on the stand, she would have to withstand the cross-examination by the defense going after her credibility. Yeah. So, and this is Charlie, who she was dating at the time. This is his trial. So they had a relationship, and gosh knows what she told him, what does it say? Pillow talk? What kind of pillow talk?
Yeah, but they weren't married, so they can't use the pillow talk, correct?
They can't use it as an out. No.
Right.
Correct. They can use it. They can use anything she wants to tell them. Yeah.
Yes. Because it can't be considered actual pillow talk because they weren't actually married.
Oh, I just used that in a more generic sense.
Between
the sheets. I almost said between the sheets, and I'm like, oh, yeah. The two of them. Ugh.
But isn't there like a legal pillow talk thing where like if two people are married, don't they call it pillow talk? And then like
yeah, I think so.
Like if I committed a crime, I could tell my husband, and they can't.
Well, also that you don't have to testify against your spouse.
Okay, that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what you're thinking of.
Okay.
Maybe it's called pillow talk, but I'll have to look that up if anyone knows. Okay, anything else in the chat that you want to tell Katie about before we move on to the Murdaughs? Katie is really interested. You're so interested in the Dan Markel murder case. But right now, of course, the whole country and part of the world is really obsessed with the Murdaugh.
I don't think it was such a national thing. I mean, it was definitely a thing, and definitely South Carolina, and you'd see clips. But the second Alex got on that stand, it went international. Like I have people asking me, like I've been posting about it on Twitter for the last 4 weeks about my thoughts, and then randomly now I've had 4 people be like, all right, this has come up on my TV. Who is this guy? What is this about?
Right.
And then I'm like, well, I don't even know how to start because it's such a mess. How do you even start? And can you just give me a quick synopsis? And I'm like, oh, not really.
I did that quick synopsis a couple of weeks ago on our football podcast.
Yeah.
And Matt was like, what?
I know.
And I'm pretty good at that sometimes. Sometimes I'm really bad at it, but once in a while, I'll just be able to be like, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, so let's start where we are instead of trying to go backward then. I'm just going to say my initial immediate response to hearing Alec on the stand was, OMG, is this Bill Clinton? Did you freeze? Oh, you froze for a second. Oh,
yeah, one of us just did.
I know. I was like, is this Bill Clinton speaking, or is this like just the voice, the accent, and of course, it depends on what it is the meaning of it. Yeah, but that's a lawyer. Okay, that's a lawyer on the stand, and that's why lawyers. I mean, if you have any lawyers in your life socially, you know that sometimes you do a lot of listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, they use a lot of words and it's not a bad thing. It's just what it is.
And like I told you, it's the war of words between those two. Because Creighton would say one thing and Alec would twist it and like it was just interesting.
Well, and
what do you mean by wealthy?
Well, and remember that question came up with Wendi Adelson on the stand. Oh, you might not remember that. Well, it depends. I mean, yeah. But
dude,
she's
if you own 3 houses, lawyers. Yes, exactly.
And so it's legitimate. And also, the way Creighton was asking questions was, I could not even believe there were almost no objections. I mean, he was doing compound speculation, like you name it. He was totally asking inappropriate questions. But Alec knew that. So that's why he was answering that way. So I wouldn't blame Alec for that. And Too Deep says, I love when lawyers question lawyers. Exactly. It's fascinating. You learn so much. But I want to tell you something. I just want to say, if I were on the stand and Creighton kept me on the stand that long, I would have lost my cool. I would have not have been still in that chair. I'd be, contempt.
Yeah, but you're not a narcissist.
He's a lawyer.
You don't have the same ego. And you don't have the same ego that he does. So like,
what did he tell me is it's a game for him. This has been a game. Yeah.
Yes.
But that's no big. Yes. It did demonstrate the game of it all. Like who's got who. But I got to tell you something. There is something personal with Creighton. And I think
other people are saying that too. And I did not get that at all. Right.
Well, we could go through some of it and I can point some things out if you want.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't come off the top of my head. It went on for 8 hours, so I don't know what we'll see. But so Lady Simple says, yes, sorry to interrupt. When Wendi with the whole, are you asking me to speculate on my parents? Well, so she used the word speculate, right? And now it wasn't speculation. That was kind of a weird answer, but it was more like, well, defined wealthy. Like she knows they have more than most, above average income. Come on. She could have just said, well, we do have above average income. My father's a dentist. My brother's, an oral surgeon. I'm a lawyer. We have a business. I would say we're in the upper middle class, that would be fine, but no, she was being evasive and trying to.
But that's what Alex was doing, answering a question with a question. I see so much similarity between Wendi and Alex's testimonies with the answering a question with a question. And
well, that's what a lawyer's going to do.
Sure. Right. And then anytime, there were 3 times he was specifically asked, Alex, did you murder your wife and son? And he said, no, I did not murder them.
Right. Well, he
nodded his head.
The nodding of the head.
Is he shaking?
The nodding of the head normally would be like, oh, he's saying yes with his body and no with his mouth. But he's got I swear he's had a psychological break or a psychiatric break. But he's doing that so much. That's part of his base, what they're calling the baseline.
Okay.
Now, I am no expert, so I wouldn't know if he was lying with the yes and the no. And of course, I'm looking at that. But it's part of his rocking. And he rocks whenever there's a discussion about the murder. Okay.
He never called it a murder.
It's traumatizing, though. And it's self-soothing. It's self-soothing.
Sure.
So regardless of his role in it, there's absolutely no one is going to convince me that he's fake crying and that he's not traumatized and that he's not feeling grief. Does that make him innocent? That's not what I'm saying. But these people who are saying, oh, the nodding and the little, no, these are fake tears. No.
That was not fake tears on the stand. No.
And it wasn't, I really couldn't see that in any case, watching this for 4 weeks now.
In the first interview, in the car, you didn't think he was faking it?
Oh, in the car. I'm talking about in the trial.
Oh, okay.
In the trial.
Got it.
Yeah, the car, I think he was really stoned and in shock. I mean, I do. I think he was really stoned. Okay.
So you believe the pill usage? You believe the pill usage stuff?
Oh, he couldn't possibly be taking that many pills, but I do believe he was taking pills. Yes. I mean, his family caught him taking pills. That was part of the problem. I do have my own theory of what happened. But here, let's do some comments. Interestingly, Alex, and this is Lady Cymbeline, thank you. Interesting, Alex said, I do not intentionally hurt Maggie and Paul. I definitely caught that. That was big. Now, that could mean a lot of things, but that definitely was a little bit of a tell. So I just want to tell you all that I don't think we're ever going to know what happened. There's so many different things could have happened. But what I want to tell you is if he didn't do it, my feeling, the amount of trauma that he can still feel, and just they start broaching the subject and he's in tears. I thought from the beginning that he saw it. He saw
he was there.
Happened. I really think he saw what happened. He probably had to run away. I mean, he could have been threatened. There's so many different things. If he didn't do it, he saw it. Because there's no way he could just bring up all of that. I mean, there's very unlikely that he could still. I mean, that's all I'm saying is how I feel when I see him is like he was there. He was there. Sure. He saw it. Whether he did it or not, or had help doing it, I don't see how he could have done it on his own in that amount of time. But I also don't think they've established the time of death. The phones going off could be people walking up to him. Maybe it was Alex with guns and saying, put your phone down.
Yeah.
Drop your phone right now. Okay. And that's it. And then they get shot however long later, 10, 5, 20 minutes later. We don't know. Thanks to their coroner and the shoddy investigation, we really don't have an accurate time of death. So what we do know is it happened sometime between 8:49 p.m. and when he got back at whatever it was, 10:10.
So somebody has been saying a lot lately with his.
Oh, sorry. I just want to say the fact that they stopped using the phone doesn't mean they were instantly dead, which is what the prosecution is trying to. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
But I think you can tell when Maggie was trying to run away with her step count.
Yes.
So I think you can tell. So I think she was shot then. Because I think, we know Paul was shot first and she saw it and she was trying to run away and then she got shot. So I kind of think we know her time of death, but I could be wrong.
We know when she got shot in the leg.
True. So when was the kill shot? Was it immediate after?
It could have been. Or maybe
but
not.
The other thing
it could have been somebody holding the gun to her head and saying, Alex, this is what you get, or whatever. Okay, Angela, is Creighton resentful of Alex because he's an embarrassment to the legal profession? For sure. I think that's a yes. But I think there's more than that. I think he probably resented that whole family and their stranglehold over the area and their legal stranglehold. I don't know where his resentment comes, but it's big. It feels, again, I'm going by what I feel. I'm not an expert. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a body language. I'm just talking about what I feel. It feels to me that there's a personal vendetta going on here.
I also wonder, it's because Creighton, I think, truly believes in his whole heart that Alex murdered his kids or his wife and son. So I think that is also part of the anger.
Yeah, but prosecutors generally feel the people they're prosecuting are guilty of what they're prosecuting them for, but they generally are able to keep their personal feelings out of it. That's part of the job.
Sure.
So I just feel like there's something extra there. Okay. And I do want to say, if it's a weak case, in my opinion, for murder, and I don't know, maybe, and I said this from day one, it probably like day one with the opening arguments, I was like, why didn't they just go for conspiracy and say there were two people and he arranged it? That's also hard to prove, but if he had a solid case for murder, why would we have Alex on the stand for 6 hours, 7 hours, being berated about his financial crimes? And sure, that might be useful for the future, and that's fine. But why didn't he ask him all the questions about the murder? Like, did you wash off the golf court? How did you wash off? Where are your clothes? Could you bring your clothes? What did you do with them? Did you bring them to Goodwill? You know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't ask him anything about the murder. And that just totally, all along, I've been like, he's not proving murder here. And the fact that Alec went on the stand tells me that his defense team felt like they have a pretty good chance that he's either going to get a mistrial or get off on this because they wouldn't have put him on.
I think the exact opposite.
I know because that's what people are feeding everybody. But
no, here's what I think about him being on the stand. His defense team did not want him on the stand.
Well, you never do.
And here's why I say that. No, I think they were specifically saying it was all Alec wanting to get on the stand saying, I'm going on whether you like it or not. And the reason I say that is because every other time they have said the defense calls so-and-so to be a witness. The defense calls. And instead of saying the defense calls Alex Murdaugh to be a witness, they said the defendant wants to testify.
Sure. Yeah.
So I personally think
well, then let me rephrase what
Alex's
I just
choice
said.
No matter what.
Okay, then let me just alter slightly what I just said.
Yep.
Alec doesn't feel like there's a strong enough case against him, so he went on the stand.
Alec is a narcissist and a pathological liar and has a big old ego. And
I don't deny that.
But every single time he's talked, he thinks he's going to weasel his way out of it. The same time with every other time he's messed something up, he thinks he's going to weasel his way out of it.
Well, those things are not mutually exclusive. Those things can both. Okay. I'm not saying why or analyzing why. It should be obvious why he wanted to go on. But I also, there is no denying, even Creighton would say you were a good lawyer. He was a good lawyer. So he's watching the.
He was.
Yeah. And he's
because he's cunning, quote, according to his best friends.
Yeah.
And he's a master in the art of bullshit.
Right. And that's part of being a lawyer. And that's the other thing is, you know what a lot of people give up on lawyering for? Because they don't like that part. The billable hours, the bringing in business. He was great at that. That's both an insult and a compliment if you're a lawyer. That's why he made so much money. And he made his firm a lot of money too. Okay, let's get to the comments real quick. Okay, so ladies, no, I just don't want to ignore the chat.
No.
I can't stand the nicknames. He thinks he makes him look fatherly and close to the victims. Should Maggie and Paul be Maggie and Paul in a court of law? Yeah. The nickname. Yeah.
I texted you about that right as I heard it. I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Nobody, yeah. All of a
But
sudden
it might be a
Paw Paw
family.
and
It might
Megs
be
and
it might be just
Roro.
a close family
Yeah.
thing too.
I know I was just talking to my kids because they all have a nickname except for my one girl. And she's like, why don't I have a nickname?
I don't have a nickname either. I always wanted one. Don't want it to be Paw Paw. Okay, too deep. They keep each other on their toes. They make each other work hard for every word. I love it. Same here. Same here.
Yeah.
Lawyer versus lawyer is fascinating. It's like a sword fight. It is. It's just, like watching a super great tennis match or chess game.
Yes,
Angela,
exactly.
Lady Cymbeline intentionally popped out to me like Paw Paw's phone popped out of his pocket. Yeah, there's definitely things in there that are fairly unbelievable, to say the least. But does that prove he killed him? No. It's not enough. Okay,
I was talking to somebody else about this. I know. I was talking to somebody else about this on Twitter today, and we were going back and forth. And I said, I really do struggle because it's proven he's a liar and a giant piece of garbage. He's a scumbag. Like, that's all obvious. And the other thing I noticed a lot too was the gaslighting on the stand to create, like, between Alex and Creighton. Like, if you want to see what textbook gaslighting is, you just need to watch this testimony, because every single time Creighton would say something, Alex would throw it back in his face and make Creighton look like he's the crazy one. And it makes me wonder if he was doing that to Maggie as well. But anyway, because he's that, does that make him a murderer? And if we're gonna put in the court of law that you're a liar, so you're automatically a murderer, that's a really slippery slope. And I don't like that.
Scary. As an American citizen, you do not want people to be able to, the state to come in and say you murdered somebody or you stole this or you did this and not be able to prove it.
Yep.
That's the point. I am very not personally invested in these people in any way. Now, I will say something. Okay, here's a good example of comparing the Dan Markel murder and his relationship with Wendi Adelson, who is a named conspirator for conspiring to murder him, both lawyers, and many accounts, even by people who adore Dan, that he could be belittling. He could be abrasive, pompous. There isn't anyone saying that about Alex's relationship with Maggie. If there was any sign of violence or verbal abusiveness or any of those things, don't you think they would have found them? They certainly should have. There's nothing. That's the point. You got to look at the evidence. You can't be like, well, I wonder how he was with his wife. And her own sister, Maggie's sister, was on the stand. And she said she didn't say that Maggie was looking for a divorce coming up. She didn't say there were problems. She said there was an indiscretion 15 years ago and it wasn't even a thing. And by the way, she said they lived a comfortable life. It wasn't lavish. I wouldn't consider them. I don't know if she used the word wealthy or not, or discounted the word wealthy, but she said, well, I would call it comfortable.
Well, do you have 3 houses and enough
I'm
clothes
just saying what the witnesses say.
To put in all these other places, and a 2021 Chevy Suburban and 5 in a Mercedes and 3 other trucks? I understand
she's probably got
but
this. My point is she probably has the same lifestyle. She's probably comfortable too. Right? So to somebody in that lifestyle.
So perspective.
Right. Okay. Hold on. Which 11-year-olds did it? The midgets. It's not 11-year-olds. It's midgets.
They're coming for you. Oh, that's so great. It's so great. I know.
And by the way,
could he have been riding
Paul,
the
who
golf
is now
cart?
officially Saint Paul, okay, because he was such a great kid, right, by all accounts. was said to have been abusive to his girlfriend of many, many years. That I don't think that came up in the trial, but they're not going after. They're not going after Paul at all, which is fine, you know. But yeah, but so by the way, Angela, and the reason I thought about that, Angela, is because somebody said, "Well, what about Paul's ex-girlfriend? She's little." That's terrible, but okay. Yeah. I mean, the point is, none of it makes a whole lot of sense because there's so much we don't know. And whose fault is that? The prosecutors.
I don't think it's a prosecutor's fault. I think it's the slud's fault because they did a horrendous job. They really.
I have some thoughts about that too. Okay, let's get through that's a really good point. Angela says Dick Harpootlian looked like he wanted his client to fail on the sand since he didn't take his advice. After he worked for years to create reasonable doubt. Do you think that his testimony in any way tipped the needle from where you personally were before he testified and are now? Did it change anything? No. What about you, Angela? Anyone in the chat? Did his testimony actually, what it did is it exposed, in my opinion, again, it exposed the weakness of the case and Creighton fell for it. I think they were taunting him. I think
I think it exposed
because
he nightmare scumbag
he is. And he didn't question about the murders hardly at all.
Sure.
How did you wash up?
So funny because you and I have such different opinions.
I'm just looking at it. Love it. That if I were in there being tried for murder and I didn't do it, I think people forget the idea that you're supposed to always presume somebody is innocent.
Yep.
You're not wrong.
It's not the states, or it's not. I'm sorry. It's not the defense that needs to prove innocence.
Or Alex.
You're absolutely correct. Yes, or Alex.
He did so much already to prove to the world that he was a liar. But that doesn't mean he's a murderer.
I know.
I know.
But then I go back
hard.
Yeah, I go back to the thing that if I were to be in there voting, like I said, I would struggle with. Just because he's a liar, does that make him a murderer? Just because he's a narcissist, does that make him a murderer? Just because he's a scumbag, does that make him a murderer? No. But see, this is where you and I differ. That timeline, nobody else could have done it based on the timeline. And
they haven't proved what the timeline is. You don't know the time of death. You don't know.
I'm going, you're right. I am personally going off of their phones being off because they were so religious. But like you said, but the other thing, why did Alec feel the need to lie about being at the kennels if he didn't know the time of death? If he didn't know when they were dead, or let's say the time of death was at 9:30.
But he could have known
what was gone then.
He could have known what was going to happen. He could have he could have been involved. He could have seen it. There's a lot of reasons, but don't get me wrong. Okay, everyone here, don't get me wrong here that I'm saying Alec is not guilty. Please, no, I'm just trying to look at the. Okay, so here's something that Too Deep adds, which is really important. Alec needed to take the stand. I agree. To control the narrative about the murders, and he had to offer something about why he lied. Right?
Yep.
To absolve his family and law partners of any responsibility regarding the financial crimes. And to explain why he lied to the police. And I think, honestly, there is no way if I did something wrong that bad, like that many levels of wrongness for that many years, and I admitted to it, because he's already admitted to it. Mm-hmm. Okay. He also exposed that Creighton wouldn't even speak to him when he tried to reach out and talk to him about that. Did Creighton say, no, that's not true? No, he didn't.
No. But that I got so mad at that part because all of a sudden Alec is trying to play the victim. Well, all of a sudden he's like,
not trying to play the victim. He's trying to get the truth out there. There's a difference between that's just a truthful statement that exposed Creighton. And okay, so let's go back to this. He did lie. He probably lied more than once. There are probably a lot of lies. I don't deny that in any way. But he did, that was the biggest one. That was the closest thing that placed him on the scene at a later time than the previous video when he said he was on the scene. So did he know that? Is that why he was going for Paul's phone? We don't know. We don't know, but it's certainly a possibility. But he did have to go on the stand. I don't buy that his defense team, you know, they have to do what they have to do. Okay. Lady Cymbeline, yes, too deep. I agree. The Snapchat evidence about Alex being at the dog kennels largely motivated Alex getting up there. How else can you explain being at the place in time of death within 10 minutes? Within 10 minutes, if that's when he died, we still haven't established that, people. I think everyone's losing track of the fact. We're just saying, oh, their phones went off, and that's when they never. Well, how did they say it over and over again? Forever. Their phones went off forever. Yeah. My phone's been off for, you know, a long time. I'm not dead. And I use my phone a lot, you know, so I don't know, you know, there's some wiggle room in there. There's just too, as far as I'm concerned, that's called reasonable doubt. Okay. You don't put away somebody for life for that, even though, and the other thing is he's going away for life anyway. I would like to see who was involved with him. And the fact that he hasn't named anyone kind of is what I'm going off of. Like, somebody did it to punish him, and he certainly feels awful about it because he loved his family. He loves his family. I also noticed, if you want to talk about
Chris Watts loved hhis family.
What?
Sorry.
What? I didn't hear you.
I said Chris Watts also loved his family.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't get that much into him. I have a hard time with that because those were little girls, so that I can't. Yeah.
But it's a family annihilator thing. I don't know. I think Alex did it. I understand where you're coming from, but
well, it's true. There's a lot that points in that direction. I want to see it proven. I want to see more proof. I want to see a better case than that. I don't think it should have been brought.
We're not going to get a better case.
Patient, he probably would have gotten more evidence. And you're right about Slut.
He didn't have a choice.
Okay, so Angela says the kennel cleaner, Dale Rogers, said Alex was very particular. He also said the hose was not the way he left it, hung it up properly. Okay.
There's a lot of stuff.
Good circumstantial evidence is there was blood on the hose and it was Alex's blood, or there was Alex's fresh fingerprints with their blood on, I mean, that's not close enough for me personally. I mean, I know there's a lot there. Exactly, Angela. Maggie's sister is also rich. So that's why she said, we're comfortable. That was kind of yep. Florida Keys in Charleston. That's what I thought. So, okay. Elmore, welcome. The evidence Paul's ex-girlfriend submitted was a video and statements of over 20 instances of Paul being intoxicated in his parents' presence. It was not allowed. This is really important, Al, because these are two things we just brought up. Maggie's sister saying, well, they were comfortable, but they didn't have a lavish lifestyle. And then Paul was such a nice kid. He was always polite. When you're in the circle, when you're part of the clan, everything's fine. But, people on the outside don't see it that way. They saw Paul as a brat. They saw Paul as whatever. I mean, I'm just saying that there are a lot of people that, as a spoiled brat who took this boat out and was drunk, and his grandmother let him drink beer on the premises and all this stuff. And what you're hearing, obviously, is the other side, the inside view, inside the family.
Yeah. Can we go back a second?
Wait, hold on to Elle.
Oh, no.
Elle, I want to know what would that have accomplished? Like, why would that? Just tell me, because I'm not even sure, because I've heard this before. Like, who would it help? More reasonable doubt? Okay, Katie.
Well, okay, so to that, Alec made a comment. He's made it a couple times that, like, nobody could hate Paul enough to do this to him. But reasonable doubt.
Right. Okay. That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I want to go back a second to Too Deep when he mentioned something about how he had to take the stand to prove that nobody else was involved with his financial crimes. That's interesting because Russell Laffitte, the president of Palmetto State Bank, in November had just gotten charged via trial of 6 counts of wire fraud and bank fraud. Why didn't Alex testify then at Russell's trial saying, I was the only one involved?
He might not have
Could
been
have helped Russell.
Well, no, but Russell wasn't being yeah, he might not have been asked to be. I mean, who would believe him?
Exactly. I don't believe
credibility. Him. Yeah.
Yeah. When even in this on the stand, when he said Russell Laffitte had nothing to do with his financial crimes, I wholly disagree with him. Because that was
okay. So
anyway.
Let's say hi some more. Hey, Marvina,
Sorry.
good to see you. I've got to close my drape here because I'm getting blasted by the sun. I wish I had a little bit of that comfortable. Exactly. The perspective there I thought was just fascinating. Lady Cymbeline says, hi, I'm more with Katie on this one. No need to apologize. I have no skin in this game. I'm not attached to this at all. I'm just trying to hone up on my lawyer, juror, potential juror skills, because it's very easy. And I've been called for a federal case here. And I just want to make sure that I don't just go in and be like, well, you don't want that with your jurors. You don't want that. You want a fair jury. So, but it's not over yet either.
I know.
Okay. And closing arguments, I pay a lot of attention to opening and closing arguments.
Yeah.
I also thought it was an act of desperation on Creighton's part that he brought up this possible drug dealer thing in the 9th hour during that toward the end. Yeah, you were probably so fatigued listening to that testimony. I mean, I have to listen to it again, but he did bring up, well, maybe it was a drug. Yeah. I don't remember how he asked it, but it was a little bit of a suggestion that maybe it was because of his drug dealer type thing. Okay.
There's a lot about that too. Like if you want to dig more into this case.
Right. And I don't think Alec wants anyone to know that. My apology. I was late. I must have missed it. Her sister's perception of lavish is so different from most of the people watching. Exactly.
And the people on the jury.
Sure. Most of the people on the jury. We don't know their demographics 100%.
Sure.
I will say I follow this young man who's not a lawyer at all. He's like a data engineer or something, and he goes to lots of trials and he watches the jury. And in this one, it's been fascinating. It's been fascinating. But he said there's one gentleman who yesterday, I think, or during, because the questioning, the badgering, it was really badgering. It really was of Alex. And don't worry, I don't feel sorry for him. He's fine. He stood up like way better than I would have. He knew what he was getting into. I can't believe his stamina on that. But he said that one of the male jurors was just like rolling his eyes and looking at the ceiling like, we got it. We get it. We get that he lied. Okay. Can we move on type of thing?
I mean, I felt like that. So
it was like watching somebody being bludgeoned. It was not pretty. I thought it was quite ugly, really. I don't think it helped. In fact, it may have hurt him more than it helped. I don't know what he thought he could have. He could have done that so much more succinctly. Now, of course, the first day when he first got Alex, there was only a couple hours left.
Can I say something quick about the financial crimes?
Hold on. A couple hours left in the day. So he had to chew up that time. And I think that really ticked me off too, because it's like, he's just killing time here. And then later on, I heard people say that's exactly what he was doing. Okay, go ahead. I didn't want to forget what I was saying.
No. Because of him admitting to the financial crimes the way that he has, it's been said that these victims are no longer going to get their day in court and they're not going to get their voices heard. So I appreciate Creighton going through the victims of those crimes so they could get their voices heard. So people would know who these people are. But one thing that really
they can have a hearing for that. They can have a Oh, sorry. I lost you for a minute. They can accommodate a hearing for the witnesses, for the victims to make their story. I mean,
well, the other thing,
he's pleading to all of that. He's already admitted it.
He is.
He already admitted it. He tried. Creighton could have said, okay, well, you need to face your victims.
Sure.
So that I don't.
He says how much he cares about the victims, though. And with the Plyler sisters, he talked about their mom dying. He didn't once mention that their brother died in that exact same accident because he honestly doesn't remember.
Well,
he doesn't know those victims.
That wasn't what he was there for.
I know, but Dawn, how can you remember? It's like Wendi with her 5-hour
I agree. He probably
interrogation.
Forgot all the damage he did. I agree with that.
But he can remember every single detail of where exactly he was staying on what day after, because it was so rehearsed. But they asked him about the first person he stole from, and he has no idea. So that's where I think that lying comes in. Like,
there's no doubt
if you're
about
lying,
it. Yeah.
And you don't remember the last words to your wife and son? How do you not remember that? When you left from the kennels to go back to the house. So I think the jury is going to look at that too, because I understand that they beat it like a dead horse, but there are things in there that you're like,
oh yeah,
oh boy,
oh yeah, for sure.
It reminds me so much of Wendi and her interrogation, probably because of the lawyer to lawyer, as well as the rehearsal and the lying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, off my soapbox.
But the difference is,
I'm so passionate about this case because I just hate him so much.
Wendy's a named conspirator. If she ends up being arrested and brought to trial, if she goes to trial, there will be undoubtable proof. This is the difference. I'm just saying the proof isn't there on this crime. You're still on the financial stuff. It means nothing to me. And it means everything to me. That's why I was following this. I was following this just for that. And then they got killed. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been following this for a couple of years and then they got killed. So I see it differently. I want to see a murder trial be tried properly. That's all.
You really don't think that the financial
in this type of a system and this type of a jury system, you should want that too. Everyone should want that. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's not responsible for their deaths and all. That's not what I'm saying. I just think that there's too much reasonable doubt.
Okay.
Also, Russell Laffitte is appealing. I'm surprised because I was interested in that because he claimed to be, contrite and apologetic and all those things and a reformed man, but now he's appealing. So I wonder do you know what basis he's appealing it on, Angela?
I don't know.
Elmore, no, just the fact that his family continued to say he's been misrepresented in the media, but the way he treated his ex-girlfriend, Morgan, was an example of his other behavior that led to the boat wreck allowed by AM. Right. I agree. Right. They're in this little cocoon and they're just, we love our family. So see, that's the thing. It's nothing to love your family. It's everything to love of strangers and be respectful toward strangers and those in need and even your enemies. Okay. So this whole family thing, don't get me wrong. I'm not falling for that one either because it's easy to love your own children. Big deal. Congratulations. Well. I mean, come on. It's pretty normal. I know. Even abusive people love their right. So,
right.
Okay. I can't claim I comfortable, not they're comfortable. Yeah, me neither. Unfortunately. I was destined to be a lawyer. I never became a lawyer. I don't know if I've told you that, but I would never in a million years have considered criminal law. No way. And the fact that I'm so interested in this stuff all of a sudden is just trippy, just kind of like me in football. It just kind of came out of nowhere. Blame it on COVID.
Yeah.
Too deep. Him taking full responsibility as a play at endearing him to the jury. And that's his guess.
Okay. Is it weird to you that he has never once said, I'm sorry? Not once.
It's not
I
the
regret
place
it.
for him.
Not I'm sorry.
No. Okay. I take issue with that.
Okay.
What's involved with a true apology? There's steps.
Change your ways. Okay.
Admit what you did wrong and really not just with your words. Feel it. True repentance. And then turn yourself around and not do it again. The I'm sorry doesn't mean, and it also, he can't do that on the stand. That would not be smart. Okay. So that means nothing. But I will say what he did, whether he meant it or not, whether it was just, to get out of this or whatever, I don't know. But what I can say is the hardest part of being sorry is knowing what you did wrong and really believing it and repent and expressing it to the person that you wronged, that I did this wrong, right? Think about your husband. Like if he does something that really makes you mad and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, but he doesn't really know what he's apologizing for. Does that mean anything? So no. The I'm sorry thing, I don't care about that. I think that will be handled that's a separate issue. That's not a murder. He wasn't there for that. Okay. He's probably sorry for everything. I think he is. They wouldn't be in debt if it weren't for him, most likely. He even said, I should have been a better father. I should have disciplined Paul more. He did say that. Did you hear that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he admitted that. And I was kind of surprised he even admitted that. But he's in a lot of therapy right now. Right? In the last couple of years. With this drug stuff and all of this, you can tell he was using some language that he's confronting his demons. So whether or not it's lasting and genuine, I don't know, but there's no doubt he's grieving what he did. He's very regretful. I don't think there's any doubt. I don't care whether he says I'm sorry or not personally. If he said I'm sorry about Paul and Maggie, people would be like, see, he's admitting he did it, right? So he's got to be careful what he says. So Marvina, whoa, what are the new charges, Alex? What's this?
Oh, he got charged late last night for contraband in the courtroom.
Oh, what was it?
I'm not sure. Earlier, a couple weeks ago, they haven't completely come out with what it was, but a couple weeks ago, he got charged with his sister Liz gave him a book, and so that was a thing so they got moved back. And then I think if I remember, I heard right that they said that nobody in the courtroom could move until Alex had left the room, avoid, because it had just come up again on Friday.
Well, isn't contraband, doesn't that mean like drugs?
So he got something again on Friday. I don't know what it was. So yeah, they've charged him. No, it could be anything handed to him that he shouldn't have.
Oh,
especially since he's in jail.
Okay, Alex.
Yes, he did.
Oh, sorry. Angela, Alex victimized so many. The elderly, the disabled, the poor, the less intelligent, his best friend, all his partners in the firm, his brother. Alex ruined lives. And that is his MO. That's right. Modus operandi. That is true. It's really sad.
So the other thing too with the MO is that whole roadside shooting. Once again, everything was closing in on him and squeezing him shut. And all of a sudden there's violence with a gun. And I think that's kind of why they brought that in, because according to the state at that time, everything was closing in and falling in on him. Whether he says it was or not, it sure seemed like it. And so all of a sudden there's violence with a gun to get the pressure away from him. The same as a roadside shooting, because that's his MO.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
he's not a good human.
I don't know if he really wanted to commit suicide and couldn't do it himself. Like if he had all those pills, you would think he could have like drank some antifreeze and take a bunch of pills and be done with it. But maybe he, but we don't know. I mean, I don't like being so hard on other people, even when they do really bad things. He's a human being. And, but I'm just wondering, did he really want, I mean, the only question about that, and again, it has nothing to do with this case, by the way, the fact that we're even talking about all this crap is that the case doesn't have, they didn't have enough to go by to get him on. I don't think it's a strong enough case I wish they would have waited and got what they needed.
They couldn't wait, Dawn, because he did his right to speedy trial, and he chose no continuances.
Well, that's the point.
They set a date for that speedy trial, and that was it.
Right. So they shouldn't have charged him until they had the evidence, because they risked him asking for. That's what speedy trials are all about. The defense is almost always going to ask for a speedy trial because they puts the state. They have to get it together really quick. So yeah.
Was the financial
good law because you don't want to be thrown in jail for something and have to wait 5 years to be tried. I mean, okay, Trisha. Hi, Trisha. Sorry. Hey, ladies. Wonderful to see you both. Hi, and hear your perceptions. I usually come in for the Danny Markel trial. And this is interesting. Yeah, we talked about the Markel trial. Trisha, are you aware that Charlie Adelson's hearing was moved from yesterday to Tuesday, and I think they're going to combine the defense's request for sealing the Katie's proffer until after she either testifies or the trial is over. Now that's interesting because my gut, again, just my gut, is that proffer has more to do with the other two named co-conspirators than Charlie's case. And Fancy Fiction actually brought up that it's, there's a whole dialogue going on about that with mentor lawyer and that whole thing, that why would Charlie need it suppressed? I mean, no, people are really gunning for Wendi and Donna. So
do Wendi and Donna have the same lawyer as Charlie?
So Daniel Rashbaum, which is an interesting choice for a defense lawyer. He's not really a defense lawyer. He's generally a white collar crimes lawyer. And he was representing Charlie, the whole family. However, Wendi has always had her own lawyer, John Laurel. So my suspicion is that it's Wendi who's so miffed about all the publicity. Like, look at the Murdaugh trial, Wendi, if you're listening. That's a trial that has a lot of publicity. Nobody cares that much about you. They think they're more important than they do, than they are. I wish they would, I wish they would care more. Maybe they will.
Do you know Kim Colello on Twitter by chance?
Yes.
She's part of Packers Twitter.
Yes.
She is also, she's not a lawyer. She works at a law firm though in Tampa. Because I asked her if she knows lawyers.
She's in Tampa. Oop.
Yeah. So I asked her if she knows lawyer, and she's like, yeah, I have a case going against him.
Peter.
But anyway, I also asked her about if she knows anything about the Adelson case, and she's like, what are you talking about? So people even in Tampa don't know about the case. Oh, I lost you.
No, I'm here. You lost me for a minute, but now you're back.
Anyway, okay. Sorry. Kim, who works at a law firm in Tampa.
Right. So, but
she doesn't even know about the Adelson case.
No, of course not. People in Tallahassee don't even know about it. Nobody cares about the Adelsons. They're not who they think they are.
It's sad. Right.
Well, it's sad for Dan Markel, but okay. But, a case can catch fire and maybe soon it will, get more of the recognition that it deserves, because
Yes.
This is scary. This was a divorce. I mean, this is again a great contrast to the Murdaugh. Okay, if there were problems in that marriage, in like there were with Wendi and Dan, in fighting, or there was some issue where he would want his wife dead, you can be sure, you can be 100% sure that the prosecutors would have brought that out. There's nothing like that. It's very interesting. Okay, Al Moore. I love Waters letting AM run his mouth so the jury can hear and see and get a good feel for him. If they are anywhere near the logical or human, will know he is off. Yeah, for sure. Not fun
but
to
does
listen
that make
to.
him a murderer?
Correct. Too deep, exactly. Enduring himself to the jury, appealing to their sympathies. Yeah, he looked like the one getting bullied there. He wasn't bullying. He was so respectful, and he kept it together. I would never have been able to do that. He really did. He could have been extremely rude back. And that's what
he could have.
Creighton was doing. He was trying to get him to lose his temper, and he did not succeed. He didn't do that.
No.
Elmore, Angela, Russell is trying to appeal, and I hope they see through him, and hopefully it will be denied. Yeah, appeals are take a lot more time, and the judge has to be, then the judge is oftentimes being called at question, and it's not a slam dunk. Elmore, your guest is hilarious, and I'm with her on So Into This Trial from 2 years ago. Yay! I'm always trying to play the devil's advocate.
I appreciate that. I really do. Because I do need to get another perspective because I'm too biased. So
yeah. And I think it just comes with time, and and it's just trying to see both sides of things. I have no need to call him names or anything like that, but he knows what he did, and the people who around him know what he did, and God knows what he did. But I'm not here to judge people. I mean, certainly I'm here to be on a jury, if I were called for jury, and I like to understand what's going on. I had no idea, until I started getting into some of these trials, just how much awful family crime there was. Family members are that's the leading murder category is within the family, I believe. Angela Elmore, yes, I think the plan was to let Alex run his mouth so the jury could see he speaks in circles, changes his story moment to moment, conflates and confuses people, wears them down. Yeah. Too deep. I am curious why some people, Alec, will get so many years for financial crimes. The Theranos trial, they stole and misused billions of dollars, lied to people about their health, and got 15 years. And I thought that was disgusting. Too deep. The only guess I have on this is that there were just so many. So there's so many different cases. So if you add them together, it'd be 15 plus 15 plus 15 plus 15. And he
has over 90 charges.
Over 90 charges, right? So even if you have 5 years for each charge, if he's, found guilty on all of them, and I think he's pleading to all of them. I don't think he's fighting them, from my understanding.
I don't know yet.
Marvina said he's sorry he messed up his life and got caught. Yeah.
See, I think it's all about him. He admitted to stealing or to taking other people's money he shouldn't have had, but he can't say that he messed up somebody else.
I wonder if his mother and father and grandparents did that too.
What, steal?
Well, if they were fraudulent, yeah. I mean, or was he just the black sheep of the family, and it seems to me that this family, even like the housekeepers, they're a good family. It seems to me that this family is very closed in and sheltered, right? Mm-hmm. So they can think, and I think with Alec, it just takes the right personality, character type, or being spoiled enough, like they clearly were doing with Paul, that that being around the access to all that money when you're a lawyer and you're a civil attorney suing for millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, big companies, then it might have just been too much for him to just not put his hand in the pot, basically.
Yeah.
I don't buy that it was all for drugs. He had enough money with his regular fee. He was making millions of dollars legitimately to support a drug habit. So there's something else going on, and there's a lot of conspiracy theories about that, but there's way more than that's why I don't think he necessarily killed them. I think he's responsible, and I think he probably knows who did. But so
somebody made a joke about the drugs and the Mexican drug cartel, because whether or not it's, and cousin Eddie Curtis Smith, I believe he's Hispanic as well and into the drugs. So they're like, most Hispanic male men are pretty short. Which I thought was funny.
Yeah, I mean, when I started hearing about that, I was like, midgets. It's a band of midgets. And yeah, so I just had midgets on.
I know, right?
Lady Cymbeline, this doesn't exactly make him guilty, and it has to be proven about reasonable doubt, but all I see is his credibility. Well, he has no credibility anymore. And he's ruined the family.
I'm sorry, name. I have to go.
Oh, okay.
I have to jet. My husband needs my help with the kids.
Oh, okay. Bye. I'll finish.
Bye. I'll text you and talk to you later.
Okay, bye. So Angela says jail is the best rehab where folks find religion. That's true. I was thinking about that. Angela tried to slip him a John Grisham. Is that for real, or are you just joking? That, I mean, what could they have been giving him? They're not supposed to give him anything, though, I guess. So I don't know. They don't like to follow the rules, that family, do they? L. Moore, the new charge was when his sister passed him. Oh, it was a John Grisham. I thought that was a joke. Oh my gosh. Why can't they just bring it to the jail? Oh, they can't have books. They have to get the books through the jail library or whatever. That's hilarious. Okay, Katie, yes, lady says, yes, 100%. Katie, walls were closing in, shows what desperate measure Alex was in. He has to be in deep with some other stuff. And there's just so much money unaccounted for. It's just weird. I mean, follow the money. I think they're going to expose, I don't know how you can hide money these days. Elmore, you need to ask forgiveness for what you just said. Hilarious as it was. Oh, well, I'm watching too many murder trials because, yeah, the last trial I saw, it was husband did this to his wife, and he also gave her, prescription medication and antifreeze, and the argument was that she committed suicide, that he didn't give those to her. So that's where that came from. Sorry. And that was a weird trial. It was a trial. Mark Jensen is the murderer's name, and he was tried back in 2008. She was killed, I want to say, in 1998 or something. He wasn't arrested for 4 years, 2002. He wasn't tried until 2008, 10 years after she was dead. And then he was found guilty and convicted, found guilty, all those things. And then he appealed it, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court in Wisconsin. And so he had to have a retrial recently. And so I paid a lot of attention to that. So I do apologize for that comment, but that's where it came from. Okay, Marvina, Alec can have books in jail. Why bring them to court? Exactly, not Yep, something in the pages. That's exactly why they don't allow them to get gifts of books or whatever. Very slippery. But it just tells me, and maybe it was just a book, but it's like, hey, she's a lawyer. She knows better. That was Lynn, his sister. She's an attorney as well, as far as I know. I think I'm correct. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Please do. But she would know that you're not supposed to do that. There might have been a note in there or something. Who knows? And Angela says, yes, Elmore, Russell acts like an aw shucks dumb guy, but he's the bank president. He was. Elmore, Angela, they all attempt to portray the demeanor. When I saw Randy and John Marvin on TV saying they're just like everyone else, I almost, they're not, exactly. And I think the community was turning on them. There is no doubt in my mind that a lot of people, I'm sorry, I've got to just close my shade, that my son is coming out. A lot of people had reason to be very angry with Alex. So there were a lot of people could have wanted him dead, from the drug world to the financial crimes. And that's what I was going to say to Katie. It's like Creighton, if I'm a juror and this is how I try to look at it, I'm like, well, isn't he just saying it could have been anyone that was mad at him that would have wanted him dead or to punish him? Or maybe they said, I'm killing your wife and your child, or maybe Maggie wasn't supposed to be there. Maybe they were just going for Paul, whatever, or vice versa. And if you don't get me my money by next week, I'm going to take Buster down or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of people who would probably, not that that's right, but I could just see a lot of people wanting to avenge. Marvina, the foghorn leghorn impression of Alex did wear me out, repeating every question. Yes. Yeah. That's something that people do to give themselves time to process it, and to hear it in their own words, to make sure they're understanding it. I mean, his life, being charged with murder of your family, I mean, his life is on the line there. I mean, his life is already on the line. It's kind of interesting that this is so important to him to fight it, that he would have even gone on the witness stand. So it means a lot to him, to me, to get this one right. He's owning up to all the financial crimes. So I don't know. I just, like I said, I have a little bit of reasonable doubt still, but I do go at this as, even though I knew all the other things he was doing and was being charged with, or charges that were coming, and it looked really bad. I mean, I just assumed he did it at first. I really did. I just assumed, oh my gosh, he did that too. But then the trial's almost like convincing me the other way in my case. Elmore, Marvina, I say, I'm just a country boy. It is, I mean, the whole trial to me is like, wow, this is crazy. The whole culture there, the whole Southern culture, and the slowness of it. I mean, they speak more slowly than city people. And it just, yeah, I have most of I don't watch it live. I watch when I can, and then I put it on. I speed it up to 1.5, 1.25 to 2, depending on who's talking, to get through it faster. Because that's a very slow lifestyle down there. And Marvina agrees. And she says, Ella, I forgot how intimidated people are that live there. Right. Guys got drone footage of them removing guns from Moselle. He was afraid to show anyone for a long time, even SLED. Yeah, they have a lot of power. They're not just like everyone else. No way. I'm not buying that. Elmore, family lies for family. Right. Buster's testimony. I don't even get started on that. Ugh. Okay. And I do apologize, because we're going to get to some of the testimony and go through it, but she got called away. So, okay, Angela, isn't Randy Murdaugh part of the newly formed law firm, the Parker Group? I would not want him there. Interesting. Dawn, I'm curious what you think Alex's reasons would be for hiring the hit. I don't necessarily think he hired a hit. I don't necessarily think that. I think somebody who was either angry with him or Paul. I honestly, the one thing he did say is he kept bringing up the boat accident. That was the first thing I thought of before I even heard that that's what he said. I know a lot of people say, well, he was prepared with that. I just think somebody did it that was angry with him and his family. And maybe even Paul, possibly. And I think Alec maybe left and heard the shots and came back and saw what happened, or was there? I think he saw it if he wasn't involved. Yeah, I don't see why he would. The only motivation, I guess, would be to get the money from Maggie's estate. If he did that, that would be, I guess, if he did a hit, that would be the only thing I would think of. But I'm not convinced that's what happened. And they're not saying that's what happened. I would, if the prosecution had evidence that was what was going on, they certainly would have brought it forth. So there's no evidence of that. It's just speculation. Angela was a joke, but not funny. I was sad. It had me puzzled was his lack of emotion. The only emotion I thought I heard his voice crack when he asked if he loved Etta Stowe at the beach. He had a lot of emotion in the beginning, Al, didn't he? Whenever they talked about, whenever the subject of the murders, of him finding them there, he started crying on the stand. I think we're talking about that. Marvina, oxy residue. I didn't think of that. Yeah. Do you see how Alex was popped? Oh, I know. All the mints. He always has something in his mouth. Now, it's not uncommon at all for someone with addiction to have oral fixation. They have to have something. They got to be chewing gum. They got to be chewing something. Some people say that it was chew. I don't know if chew tobacco is allowed in the courtroom. Maybe it is in the South. But gum, candy, they have bowls of candy around in the courtroom. I don't know if you heard that, but there are bowls of candy. So, yeah, we will miss her. We will miss Katie, I guess. Bye, Katie. I know she's the best. I feel bad because we were going to look at some of the actual footage, but we just got chatting like we did last time we went on together. The pills and antifreeze was a joke. Yes, sounds delicious. But you know that most individuals would be deceased over the amount he was. Yes, about the amount that he claims he was taking. There's no way he could be taking that many drugs. I mean, I think there's money. He's hiding where that money went. There was something, and I need to research this because I don't love just blabbering things out without actually researching it. But I did read somewhere that he actually was involved. Okay. I can't remember all the details. He was involved with somebody who was distributing illegal drugs in another country. And I think it was Oxy. So he may have been involved with drug dealers and all that. So that's why I say, I just feel like this could have happened to punish him in some way or to threaten him. Could have. I'm seeing no evidence that he did it. I mean, it's not, there's just not enough for me to say he did it yet. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure yet. But it's not time to vote. It's not time for the jury to be out. That's when I'll get serious about, all right, what would I really do if I was sitting on this jury? You know, it's kind of hard to know until you're in that moment. Angela, Lady Cymbeline, that's a good question. Who would want to kill a 55-year-old woman? Somebody to get even, or her husband. I'm wondering if they wanted to kill Paul and they didn't expect her to be there. If it was for Paul, as one out of 100 different options. Marvina says the Murdaugh family has no self-awareness, saying they're just normal family. Okay, but my neighbors are not scared of my family, sir. I agree 100% with this. 100%. That was so annoying. That is so glaring. And you can see how somebody could become extremely corrupt living with that kind of insular life view. Elmore, Angela, same with Chris Wilson and Corey Fleming in a high position dealing with large amounts of money and not knowing what they are doing. I object. Yes. Too deep. All I've learned from this murder trial is that Paul and Maggie didn't kill themselves. Right. To be fair, I can understand why people believe he had motive, reach a conclusion that it had to be Alex. I totally agree with that. I wouldn't be surprised of any outcome from this jury. Let's just put it that way. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I would probably be a little surprised and nervous if it comes back with a guilty verdict, because as you can tell from my comments, I don't feel like the prosecution did what they were supposed to do. Elmore, we're speaking about Buster being on the stand. Yes. Yes. That was weird. That was really weird. Lady Cymbeline, it's a good theory, Dawn. I personally find it hard to swallow that someone took out his wife and son to punish him. If Alec was the problem, why not? Just something I'm thinking about. Lady, I thought about this too, and it's a great question, because Alec would be the one, if he owed someone money or a favor or something, if they killed him, how would they get him to, how would they cash out? So I think he ticked off the wrong person, finally, because he obviously has ticked off a lot of people in his lifetime. So to me, it's not hard to understand how, with all those people, with wronging all those people in such a large way, that he ticked off the wrong person. And yeah, why would they take him out if he was the cash cow? So I think he owed somebody something, or it was sending a message, something like that. And I still am not sure that they thought Maggie was going to be there. And they probably went for Paul. I'm not sure. And it could have been the boat accident. I mean, there's just so many things that there's so many reasons to be mad at this family. Okay. Marvina, alcohol, tobacco, alcohol, oxy. He had a lot of crutches. So he's always chewing something. It's really annoying. Marvina, most men hiding, moving that money have a second family, though I doubt he does. Right. Second family, second life, putting it away. What was he into? There's more to this story. Can you imagine there's even more to this story? It's just such a crazy story in the first place. Elmore, I admit I felt sorry for Chris Wilson. Yeah. I may have been manipulated, though. It happens. He lost $192,000 to Alex, and that promissory note is worthless. Yeah, I think to Chris, I certainly was the money, but I think he's just brokenhearted because he thought he knew his best friend. So that just shows how he had everyone fooled. Lady Cymbeline, 100%. That's where I started with my theory on this case. Paul was the target. Maggie was the witness. Alex's words and actions after the deaths, the info that came out later, having me think of other theories. And I do want to say that although it's reasonable to think that he prepared his answer, that maybe it was somebody because of Paul and the boat accident. But when I thought about it, I'm like, okay, what if I came across, what if something happened to somebody that I know or love, a family member, and I know that they have people mad at them for a very specific reason? Why wouldn't I blurt that out? I think it was this person, or I think it was because of this. And I mean, to me, a lot of people are like, oh, he was prepared with this thing about the boat accident. To me, that one doesn't hold as much weight in this case, but I do understand why people are looking at that. Lady Cymbeline, did Alex say there were credible death threats on Maggie and Paul's lives? Well, he said there were on Paul's, and family members said there were vile things said and crazy. Now, what I thought was weird in yesterday's, I think it was yesterday's testimony, somebody said, we didn't really take them seriously. Well, obviously you took them seriously. It was your first thing out of your mouth. And Maggie's sister, when she testified, Marianne, she said that Maggie was following those threats on social media with great diligence. She was reading all of them. Now, she was close to her kids and she was a full-time mom, so it's not unreasonable to think that she might have responded. Now, everyone says she's a nice person, she's a gentle person. I don't think there's any evidence that she was out there arguing with people on social media, but can you imagine that maybe she said some things too? She was certainly aware of those threats, and they were threats. And she also felt that she was being shunned in that town, and that's the other reason she wanted to stay at the beach property after the accident. So I can't remember if it came from Alec, but it did, but it also came from other witnesses. Elmore, Angela, my apologies, but I know nobody that moves that amount of money without knowing something. He was too complicit in too many lies, and I'm suspicious of men who cry like that. For real, for real. Yeah. His crying is intense, man. Marvina, why would a killer show up? Right. So this is another thing, because a lot of people are saying, oh, it was a drug cartel or this and that. Well, yeah, they would most likely come with their own weapons. I want to take a look closer at whether they could actually what the evidence was to show that it was from these weapons. But if the weapons were there, or if they grabbed the weapons, if the house was unlocked, it would be a great way to like frame him. But that's a lot. That's a lot. I agree. The weapon thing, but one of the weapons still isn't accounted for. So that could indicate, obviously Alec could have hidden it, but where, when, how? They've got him tracked everywhere he went. Where's this weapon? Or it was a different killer and they left with it. Angela, hey, Elmore, no apologies needed. No apologies needed. Yeah, we have a nice chat here. We can disagree. We can have opposing viewpoints, but we can be friendly about it too. Because that's how it would be on a jury. You know, we don't want to be angry at juror members. We're part of the team, man. We got to work together. You can convince me. I'm not convinced either way yet. And I don't think Katie is either. We're just coming from different angles. So birds of a feather flock together. He made it easy for Alec, disregarded his professional standing. Okay. Marvina, now that's a really good point. Killer using the Murdaugh's gun. Yes, I know. That one has me stumped. That one has me stumped for sure. Been thinking about that. Elmore, Lady Cymbeline, everything that AM said from the time of the first officer on the scene was AM narrative on what he wanted the story to be. Very possible. Before he was asked to begin with, this is a long story. Yes. I just want to say, I just can't get over how weak the prosecution is, how little the evidence is, and how many people had motive to harm this family. That's all I'm going to say on that. I mean, that's just what keeps coming up in my mind. Alex said they don't even file a police report and they didn't take it seriously. Correct. But he sure did when it came time to wonder about who killed his family, right? He obviously took it seriously because it's come up. This kind of reminds me, for those following the Dan Markel case, of Jeffrey LaCasse. And this is even more. Wendi said to Jeffrey LaCasse, in his own words, that her brother looked into hiring a hitman and it would be $15,000 and many other things. He didn't call the police. He didn't file a report, right? A lot of people fault him for that, but we don't always do things like that. And as a lawyer, I think they just wanted to be perceived as this nice family, and they just wanted it to blow over or whatever, take it to court or whatever. So I have a feeling they took it fairly seriously, and there was testimony that Maggie did take it quite seriously. Marvina, they matched the ammo, and that's how they knew they were Murdaugh's guns. Okay, I thought so, but yeah, so that's that one. But yeah, SLED did such a horrible job, but they were able to do that. Why? I don't want to say anything about law enforcement, but that sounds like kind of an organization that was a little shady too. And whether Alec had them in his pockets or didn't, or was on the wrong side of somebody there. There's just so much darkness in this story. Elmore, when I say my apologies, this is me coming from the other side of the coin, and every pancake, no matter how flat, has two sides. That's right. That's right. I like that. Every pancake has two sides. I'm going to say that. You're welcome, lady. I'm so glad you're here. Lady Cymbeline, happy Saturday. This is a great chat group. I love the people who show up for this chat. I feel very privileged. The Snapchat video is very strong. What think the rest of you? And that's the video of the dog's broken theoretically. I want to know what happened to that dog. We heard about the other dogs, but we haven't heard what happened to Rogan's dog, the chocolate lab. Too deep. I like how much of a factor each person's life experiences determine what each of us think could have happened. So we're so different, and it's interesting when we're speculating on a circumstantial case. Yes. And I feel, again, just so you understand where I'm coming from, most cases are circumstantial, but there's strong circumstantial evidence and weaker circumstantial evidence. And I feel like the evidence in this case is fairly weak. Every pancake. Yes. I love that. Every pancake has two sides. We all enjoy your viewpoints. Thank you. Yes, too deep. Dawn and Katie having different perspective is better than if they agreed. That's why I do this. That's why I have Katie as my partner, is because we are very different and we're okay disagreeing, and we are definitely come from different places. Snapchat is strong, Lady C. Yes. Elmore, I have so much faith in the jury because each one has cell phones and is likely began paying more attention to their steps and connecting to their vehicle. By the way, and doesn't it make you want to just like get rid of your smartphone? Like all the surveillance going on that we're not thinking about. It's just creepy. Roro's dog, Cash. I was going to say Case. Cash. Yeah, Bubba's with Blanca, and I'm sure he's living his best life. Yes. And then Grady is with Buster. But they had more dogs than that. They had hunting dogs. I don't know what their names were. Isn't it weird that they have a dog named, wait. They had a dog named Maggie. Where's Maggie? You remember that? I thought that was weird. They named their dog the name of Maggie, of a person in their life. Like that. I just thought that was odd. Yes, great point, Lady Cymbeline says. Okay, you guys, well, we've gone on a while. My throat's getting a little sore. I did want to bring up the testimony so we could talk about it. Katie and I normally go on Wednesdays at noon Pacific, which is 3 Eastern, 2 Central, 1 Mountain Time, I guess. And but during this trial, well, I've been dealing with some health problems, as most of you know. And so and then the holidays happened. I know that was 2 months ago, but it's like we still haven't gotten our groove back. But when the trial's going on, people don't tend to want to be in the chat because they're watching the trial. So we're trying to figure out, should we go on at night? We thought this Saturday would be fun. I'm going to see if she can come back on again tomorrow, and that we can actually go through some of the actual video. So what do you think about that? And if not, I can do it on my own, maybe one evening, starting in the evenings this week. I'm just blown away by this trial, all the information and just all the stuff. And I just would love to go through it. I was thinking, boy, I should have gone through it from the beginning, because going back now over older footage is going to be, there's just so much there. So I'm not sure how I'm going to go about that. Yeah. So you think tomorrow, Marvina? How about if I'll come on tomorrow. Probably in the evening, early evening. It might be later for you if you're on the east side, East Coast. I'm on the West Coast, but early evening. And then if all possible, we'll get Katie on too. And then we'll go through some of this, because what I was talking about, I actually have examples of it in the testimony. So I'll try to do that tomorrow. Okay. If you guys want to come back. Oh, I missed something from Lady Cymbeline, the GM. Oh, I got a thought about this. Okay. The GM executive showed for 5 minutes. Showed for 5 minutes to say, I brought a 3 PG corroborating report. Goodbye. No way to refute the data on the FBI cast. Verizon records and GM guy said hello and goodbye. I'm not following. I am not following this comment. But what I did want to say is, isn't it interesting that the GM came out with those records in the middle of the trial? Like, that was crazy. That was crazy. Okay, so that'll be fun. Okay, I'll do it with or without Katie. I'll be here. Dawn, where is your Midwest accent? Well, I've been living on the West Coast for over almost 40 years, over 30, probably 35 years. So I kind of lost it, but it's still there. Yes. Love my chatters. Thank you for being here, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Too Deep. Yeah, I just need a little throat drop. Angela, thank you for your wishes for good health. It's been hard. Buy yourself some flowers. Oh, indeed. In fact, I was gardening outside. I was almost late. I've got to get a manicure now. I live in Southern California. It's sunny and nice here, and I'm updating my balcony garden and my back hallway garden. So I've been working on that for a few days. And pretty flowers. Oh my gosh. I'll put some photographs of my garden in the community post. Sometimes I put pictures of my cat in there. So, all right. Tea, hot tea, throat drops. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Oh, L is clarifying. Thank you. I am saying that why would a GM executive show up and sit as a witness to say I brought 3-page Excel report to corroborate? Yeah, that whole thing was weird. I wondered if you know how Alex sued, he was the plaintiff's lawyer in many civil cases. And so he was suing automotive companies and such, like if they were in a car wreck or a car or truck malfunctioned. And I wondered if GM, or maybe he had some sway with GM and that's why they didn't show up with those records that were subpoenaed. I don't know. But then on the other hand, were they trying to hurt him or help him? I thought the whole thing was just really, really, really weird. I have a flowery personality. Thank you. Love flowers. Where I live, as far as you can see, were flower fields. So I literally live on a old flower field. My home before I moved into this apartment was just about 6 blocks that way east, and it was a gladiola field. And so in my garden, I would do all my gardening, and then all of a sudden I'd be like, all these gorgeous gladiolas would come up, and they were ancient. Like, it was just, there's flower fields all around me. So I'm probably reflecting the spring is coming, and here, of course, spring is coming earlier because it's a warmer climate, but there's flowers blooming, and we have a huge ranunculus field over here. I'll post some pictures in my community. Okay, so Elmore says it's not weird. It goes to show that the data refutes every word that he said about his movements on June 7th. That's why he had to testify to take that back. Yes. I agree. GM was convenient. Yeah, it was weird though. It was weird. I guess I'm learning to be really skeptical, I should say. Who's Edna Gladney? Gladiolas remind me of Edna Gladney. Who's Edna Gladney? Tell me. They're so beautiful and tall. Okay, am I close to the snow in San Bernardino? No, my friend has a cabin up there in the mountains, but I'm on the coast. So the whole storm thing that hit LA and all that misses, most of the time, everything misses us because I'm far enough south and because of the shape of the coastline, it just kind of pops over. But in the foothills, they had a dusting of snow. And then, of course, in the mountains, they are getting a lot of snow. But it's all over, at least for me. And it was I'm always disappointed because I want rain coming from the Midwest. I love the thunderstorms and that kind of thing. But we had finally you heard about all the rain down here, but really all I got was some rain overnight, and then it was cleared up by the time I got up, and then it rained a little bit for about a half hour when I went online, but now it's sunny. So, but it was a good kind of rain that the flowers like, and I had just bought some new flowers last week, and so I had them, you know, like in plastic and stuff still, because I didn't, so they're not quite acclimated to the balcony yet. And it was kind of cold. It's cold for us. Like, we have 55-degree days here, and that is very rare, even in the winter. It's usually maybe 65 would be cold. So it's been a cold winter for us. I mean, not like most people, but for us. Edna Gladney was a proponent for orphan children. Oh, why do gladiolas remind you of her? I'm going to have to look her up. Too Deep says gladiolas make him think of his grandmother. Rest in peace. Did she grow them? My grandmother had a great garden, like an English garden in the Midwest. Very pretty walk-through garden, and I love gladiolas. All right, kids. Well, I am going to get some throat drops. I'm like Judy. I have strained vocal cords and that kind of thing. So I will get myself together, and I'm thinking I'll come on week probably 4-ish. I'll put a notice up if you're following me. Just click the bell. It'll tell you when I'm going live. It'll give you a countdown. But I'm going to shoot. I think I'm going to go for 4 Pacific time, which would be 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 5 Mountain time tomorrow. Sound good? All right, guys. Well, thanks being here, being so nice to each other, and for offering different points of view, because I just love to learn new things. And I always learn something new when I talk about anything with you all. So you have a great day. Thanks for all your encouragement and support, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.